In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Katar Pro Wireless, a wireless gaming mouse from Corsair. Roll that intro. What's going on, guys? Chad here from How To Tech, the channel dedicated to helping you take your tech to the next level. And today we're going to be talking about the Katar Pro Wireless from Corsair. It is a really decent wireless gaming mouse, and we're going to be telling you whether or not you should buy it, because I'm a firm believer that not every mouse is the right mouse for everyone. I really like this mouse. I've been using it for about 3 or 4 months now, and I really enjoy it, but it may not be the right mouse for you, and we'll talk about why that is in just a minute. And before I go ahead and talk about all that stuff, we're going to put timestamps on screen because we're going to be talking about different things about this mouse. We're going to talk about the size, which is the first thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the build quality and the feel of the mouse, and we're going to be talking about the software and how well that works with this mouse. And then we're also going to go ahead and talk about how does this feel for gaming and just average use on your computer. So getting started first with the one thing that could make or break this mouse for you, that is the size of it. It is not the largest mouse out there. It's actually fairly small, and it's not flat though. That is something to keep in mind. It's got some pretty decent curve on it, so it gives it a little bit of height, but it is definitely a small mouse. So to give you an example of somebody holding it, this is how I tend to hold this mouse in my hand. And for a lot of people, if you don't like using a claw grip, this may not be the mouse for you. You may want to look somewhere else. But for the most part, if you like a claw grip and you're fine with a wireless, which is also going to make it more of a lightweight style mouse, this is actually pretty comfortable for me. This is the way I like to hold my mouse whenever I'm gaming, but if you don't, then you might want to look for something else. Now let's go ahead and talk about the build quality of this mouse. This mouse is actually very well built, and we'll go ahead and walk around it or talk about the different parts of this mouse in just a second. But I can say that this is made out of plastic. I would hope so. I don't know if I've ever used a metal mouse, but this is made out of plastic, and it's actually very solid. You wouldn't think so because it's wireless and it's kind of light and it's plastic, but I've dropped this off my desk at least a handful of times onto a concrete floor over here, and it's not broken yet. So there is a big pro for that build quality. It survived some drops, so that's a really good thing to know. If you're clumsy, especially since this is a wireless mouse, it may do that from time to time. You may just forget where it's at and accidentally knock it off, or if you have other stuff on your desk, that's a possibility. Getting over to the way this feels, as you can tell, you might be able to tell on camera, it doesn't have a super glossy texture. Right here you can see on the Corsair badge, it is glossy, and even these buttons right here on the side, and this DPI button, and this little area right here on the front, you might be able to tell is kind of glossy. But other than that, the rest of it feels kind of like a matte finish, and other than that, it's pretty comfy to hold. It's not something that's going to show a lot of oil from your hands or anything that you might have had your hands on, like some Doritos or chips or something like that. That's not really going to stay on this mouse too much, and you're not going to get a bunch of those like glossy smears, which can look kind of not that great if you want your setup to look nice. Moving over to the sides, each side does have some grips that are kind of extruded from the side. These are not rubber. They are the same material as the mouse, and those are on both sides. On the bottom of the mouse, we have a switch that enables us to be able to use this in the Corsair Slipstream wireless mode, and that's going to be the best for gaming. It's going to give you lower latency, and it's going to perform really well. I can say that using the Slipstream, I've not noticed a difference from a wireless mouse. Now, if you guys are some pro gamers out there, you may be able to tell the difference, but for me, as a filthy casual, I can't tell the difference. On the other side, we have a Bluetooth switch, so if you wanted to pair this up for Bluetooth, say to a laptop that you may take with you from time to time, and you just don't want to have to take your dongle out of your desktop, it works great. I've used it with my laptop quite a few times, and it's a really nice option to have. And obviously in the middle, we have an option to turn the mouse off. Right here, we have the sensor. I'll go ahead and put specs for the sensor up on the screen because I know pretty much nothing about sensors, so I'm not going to BS you with that information. And then we even have pads on the bottom, obviously, to help that slip around on your desk. We have the battery bay door, so we can kind of just pull this top off, and we can see that we can insert our AA battery here, and we also have a spot right here to put our dongle for whenever we might want to take our mouse somewhere and not lose it, because I know those things are very easy to lose because they're very small. Now let's talk about one of the things that kind of irritated me at first, but this is the space that comes with purchasing a wireless mouse. One is there's no way to plug this mouse in if your battery dies. There's no way to just run this mouse without having a battery in it, and that kind of stinks. I wish it had just USB-C or even USB micro or mini or whatever standard on Android devices. I wish that was an option to be able to plug in here in the rare occurrence that your battery does die. I learned my lesson. I bought rechargeable batteries, and I'll always have one charged and on hand in case this one does die. But that's kind of nitpicking and not really anything I can put too much on Corsair, but it'd be really nice. And if somebody really wanted to make an awesome wireless gaming mouse, give somebody the option to be able to use a AA and even have like a small battery that can be charged as well. So you have the best of both worlds. So if you don't have your charger with you and you don't want to plug it in wired, you can pop in a AA. But if you are in that situation of where you absolutely need it, you can plug it in. That would be really cool. So let's move over to the main point of focus. That is going to be the left and right clicks. These are probably the most important things for most of you guys. They feel great and they sound great too. I don't know how that's translating well through the microphone, but yes, they are nice firm clicks. You can tell whenever, you can tell whenever you're clicking them, obviously, and there's no confusion there. The actuation on them is not much at all, so it's really good if you need that quick reflex and you don't want a really hard click on your mouse. We have a scroll wheel that is textured, if we can get that on camera, and there is pretty prominent scrolling. You can tell whenever you've hit the next bump in the scroll. We have a DPI switch right here, which is great if you need to be able to switch DPI on the fly. I've got some set up for being able to play like retro games where the DPI is a lot lower, so I have profiles set up to where I can tap through those. And let's just go ahead and press this button, and we can see that that light actually changes. So there we go. And right now I don't have the software open. That's why it's showing green, white, and red. And we'll talk about that in a second, because you can actually set up your own profiles in their software, which is really cool. We have on this left-hand side, this is the only thing that I think would keep it from being like an ambidextrous mouse, where you could use it if you were left-handed. I guess if you wanted to, if you were left-handed, you could use it and just disable these buttons so you don't accidentally press them, because it is pretty much symmetrical. But this is kind of my one flaw with this mouse that I'd have to say. These buttons are very, very mushy, and for $30 to $40 for this mouse, depending on where you buy it, I can kind of see it. If this was a $60 or $70 mouse, that would be a complete no-no to me, but they're not too bad. I can deal with them for $30 to $40 for this mouse. So now that we're over at the computer, let's go ahead and take a look at the software. You can go ahead and download the IQ software to be able to mess with this mouse, set different profiles, and even change the color of the DPI switch, which is really handy. That way you know what DPI setting you are currently on. And yeah, there are tons of features inside of here that you can use to see your processor speed and all this other stuff. To me, that's not that relevant for what I'm doing here, but if you have other Corsair products, this may be a good feature to be able to have all of your stuff inside of this. So let's get started with key assignments. So we can just click on that, and we can assign keys and even set DPI toggles, and we can set macros and stuff to these different buttons if we want to. So that is a really cool thing. So let's go ahead and click on, let's see, left click. Or let's select back. So yeah, we can select the back key, and then we can go through here and we can macro out anything we want to. If that's something you want to do with the software, it has support for that, and it works very well. I tried it out not too long ago. And this is the thing you're probably going to care about if you do any kind of gaming, and you want to make sure that you have options and support for, say, games that don't have really good integration with proper or standard DPI input, I guess is the way to say that. We've all probably played that game before where we're just like, why is my sensitivity so jacked right now? Well, this gives you the ability to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So I have actually 4 different DPI profiles set. My 400 is stage 1, 800 is stage 2, and 1200 is stage 3, and sniper is 1500. And we can actually click over here on the different color settings and change those respectively. And I know I showed you a second ago that red, white, and green was the color of this button a second ago, but we should be able to toggle through those now, and you should be able to see that these are actually set to my colors, and we can see in the software how those are changing as well. I like to keep mine about 800 on this cyan color. Another useful thing is maybe you want to have certain DPIs for certain games, or you just want to go ahead and set up another profile if somebody else uses the computer. You have the ability to do that here by just creating a new preset, which is really cool. We also have device settings where we can go in, update the firmware, and even change the polling rate of the mouse and see how our battery's doing, and change things like brightness and the time for the sleep mode. You can put it in a power saving state and even show the battery gauge down here in the notifications section. We can repair the dongle for it if we ever have a problem with that, and we can even change stuff like the pointer speed and enhance pointer precision in that settings right down there. Overall, I think the software is great for this mouse, and there's really not too much that I can complain about for the features that you're getting in software for it. So this last section was going to be me talking about this mouse in gaming and just regular desktop use, and I just don't think there's much point to that. I'm just going to go ahead and give you my final conclusion on this device. I think this mouse is great for gaming. I've had no problems with latency, and I don't see any problem with it. The only time you may run into that is if you have it paired through Bluetooth. There is a little bit of latency there. But with the 2.4 or 2.2 or whatever gigahertz the wireless is for the slipstream technology, it just runs great, and I haven't had a problem with it. I definitely suggest keeping batteries on hand if you do very long gaming sessions, and there's a possibility, if you do those very frequently, and there's a possibility your battery might die during your gaming session, because that's the one thing that'll make you mad at this mouse. That isn't necessarily its fault. The size, that may be a factor for you. If you don't like holding a mouse in a claw grip, it may just be a feature that is something that doesn't mesh well with you. Overall, I think the mouse is really good, and I like it, and I'm going to keep using it. So unless anybody else sends me another mouse possibly to review, like I said, I paid for this one myself out of pocket, but if somebody wants to send me a mouse to review that might beat this, go ahead and shoot it my way. But other than that, if you guys have $30 to $40, I think this is a solid bargain of a mouse. Like I said, it's durable. It feels good if it's the size that, you know, falls into what you like for a mouse, and the software is very good. It's spot on. I haven't had any problems with the software, which I can't say for some other mice that I've used in the past. This one is a really solid deal, and if you're in that market and this seems like a style of mouse that you would like, go ahead and give it a shot. So yeah, guys, that's going to be all for this video. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Go ahead, destroy that like button, get subscribed, and turn on notifications for future videos from How To Tech. Thank you for watching. This has been Chad, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. If you want to check out some of our other videos, you can do so right over there. And if you want to be like these lovely people down below, then think about becoming a YouTube member today. Members get early access to YouTube videos, they get members-only posts, emotes, badges, discounts on merch, and much, much more. Thank you guys for supporting How To Tech.